Okay. So we have Cycle Storm versus... What is this? Is this mono white? Wasn't really paying attention. And we have... Or this is Boros. Yep. Okay, so... Looks like... We're up a game versus Cycle Storm, which is not looking good for the Cycle Storm player because there's a relic in play on turn 1. So that's certainly not ideal. Okay, we have a Faithless Looting on turn 2. Yeah, I don't... Beating this relic seems like it's going to be quite difficult. Let me look at the sideboard for the Cycle Storm deck. I don't know if what artifact removal they're playing, or if they're playing any other artifact removal. I guess they're probably not. They're just going to try to combo through it, but... Or maybe just play out creatures. I guess that's probably the best way. Yeah, they're just going to play out the creatures. And look at the... Let's look at the deck list here. So in the sideboard, we have... Spellstutter Sprite can counter it, but that's too late. You have Vision Charm, which can phase it out, I think. Yeah, but other than that, there's no answer to the relic, so it looks like the plan is just to cast some creatures. Although 2 lightning bolts kills the horror. Looks like Cycle Storm is probably going to be going down here. Cycling, or cracking the relic now. Interesting. I wonder why. I guess it probably doesn't matter too much, but I probably would have held the relic until a bit longer. Okay, Thread Inspector, crack a clue. Because now... now we can just keep cycling and rebuild the graveyard. Not sure I agree with the relic crack there, but I suppose you also want to get a clock going, because if you don't have a clock, then you're never going to be able to, like, the Cycle Storm player can just sort of sculpt the perfect hand. Okay, Squadron Hawk. You also did exile your own Faithless Looting and stuff, and Cat, I think, to the relic, so not the greatest relic of all time, but obviously still a great card against Cycle Storm. Yo, what's up, Walker? Okay, so we have a Guardian, so that increases the clock, but it's still a pretty anemic clock, all things considered. I think if Belena gets 2 or 3 more cyclers, he can start going off here. With 4 cyclers, it seems pretty rough to go off from this spot, but I don't know, 8 cards in hand, it's maybe doable if you have enough. You have enough mana. Okay, discard to hand size. Discards a Scob, so that does increase the number of creatures in the graveyard. Oh, another relic. That is really bad. That is really bad. That's probably going to seal the deal. Maybe, like, go for a Reaping in response, yeah. This is really rough. So now there's a 4-turn clock, looks like. Assuming nothing gets added to the board, which I assume they're going to play some Squadron Hawks, which will lower it to a 3-turn clock. Not playing anything. I wonder what that means. Because there are 3 Squadron Hawks in hand, and we're not choosing to play those. Hmm. So Blaine is forced to go for it now, but no, I'm not sure how they're supposed to win here. Because now you crack the relic in response to that. I would is what I would do. Hmm. I guess they're gonna try to crack it in response to the reaping, and then if there's another reaping, then maybe there's a chance. So Belena's hand is currently is two reaping the graves. Even then, you're only getting back 4 cards, so it's really not that much. So now the relic's gonna get cracked. There's gonna be another reaping hitting the stack. Yep. So now the question is, do you cycle or do you let all this resolve and then cycle so that they don't hit the graveyard? Or cycle after the relic is activations happened. Okay, so the relic is cracked. Now this reaping the graves isn't actually going to. Oh, he needed to wait for the trigger to resolve before cracking the relic. This is a huge mistake from the Boros player here, because now this trigger can resolve and you can return. Like you can just draw 6 cards for free. I didn't catch that immediately, but that's a pretty big mistake. Because you don't actually choose targets for this until the triggered ability resolves. So now we're sacrificing to Deadly Dispute to try to get as many creatures in the graveyard as possible. But Lynn is really looking to get 6 creatures in the graveyard here. Another Dispute on the land. Try to maximize the mana, because he knows this game's over this turn. Also, wouldn't be surprised if there are some number of Pyroblasts in the Boros player's hand. Because I think they would have played this Water Knocks out otherwise. So yeah, these you don't get. It doesn't look like Blaine is getting full value out of this. They're just returning two creatures, but still, this could have been prevented had the relic been cracked a bit later. All right, so we have 8 cards in hand and 9 mana. I think you really want to be winning this turn if you're going to be, because you have the storm built up now. Another Dispute. Draws 2 more cards. It's possible that the Boros player has lightning bolts as well, and they must have something, or they would have played the Hawks. We do know three of the cards are Hawks, so they have 2 cards that could be something relevant. All right, reaping for 14 gets back all the creatures in the graveyard. I think Belaine is going to be able to win this one. The cards that are exiled aren't like the most relevant. There's one Song's exiled, one Reaping, and a bunch of random stuff that doesn't seem the most consequential. So we need to find Songs of the Damned now. There's only 15 cards left in the deck. So maybe they already have Songs of the Damned, but they're trying to maximize the mana. That honestly would not surprise me. So we have Dark Ritual. Still cycling it, I think. Yep. 13 cards left, and there's only one Songs of the Damned exile, so there's 3 left in the deck. 12 cards. You should have pretty good odds of finding it now. Although you've already used 3 Cabal rituals and 3 Dark rituals. 4 Cabals. Yeah, you've used all the rituals in your deck. So if you don't hit Reaping now, or Songs of the Damned now, you just lose. Okay, cast Songs of the Damned. There you go. My guess is that Belena just had it and was trying to maximize the mana, but could be wrong. Returning a bunch of stuff. And now it's pretty trivial to win, I think. Especially if you have another Scob, because you can Scob back the Reaping, or sorry, the Songs of the Damned for more mana. So now if there's a Lightning Bolt in response to the triggered ability, then they don't actually return a card from their graveyard, so... we're bolting the Celebrant. That does not seem correct to me, but... Interesting. So I feel like this play only makes sense if you have another Lightning Bolt. So I assume that the last card is either a Lightning Bolt or a Pyroblast. We're making red mana and 2 blue. Okay. So now I assume that this is going to get bolted in response to the trigger. No. Yeah, okay, this is a huge mistake, I think, from the Boros player. They definitely needed to say the Lightning Bolt for the Scob. Because if you bolt the Scob in response to the triggered ability, you don't actually get to return something from your graveyard. And now it's pretty trivial to win, assuming there's another Reaping, yeah. So yeah, 2 big mistakes, I think, from the Boros player. Yo, what's up? What interesting decks popped up? Well, Lujo, I think, top 8'd, so there's that. And and we've got lots of fun stuff in the top 8. Elena wins that game. That honestly pretty crazy, because I think if the opponent had not cracked the relic at the wrong time, and if the bolt had been used on the Scob, that game might have been different. I don't know. It's possible that Belena had more rituals in hand, but it's kind of crazy that Belena was able to win this game. Honestly, extremely impressive. I don't think I would have been able to win that game like at all against 2 relics. I was like, was it 2 or 3 relics? Crazy. Did you have another ritual, or did the bolt matter? Did them fucking up the bolt matter? It's crazy. I guess we can ask you after the match, but why is this dark ritual stuck on my screen? Please get off my screen. Thank you. All right. So we have. Where did my. Whatever. The chat and game log seems to have disappeared off my screen. All right. So there's no turn 1 relic this game, but we did, I think, keep 7 cards. So honestly, if I'm a Boros player, am I ever going to keep a 7-card hand without a relic? Like, nah, I'm not doing that ever. It seems like a mistake. Or revoke existence. Okay. I mean, sure. If there's a dispute here, it's great, but I guess there's no dispute. So no black mana, but I don't know that that matters too much, although it certainly might. I guess if there's another artifact destruction spell here, it's pretty good. Interesting. Okay, another blue source. I mean, you do need black sources at some point, but I like all the cyclers are colorless. Well, no, they're not all colorless. Many of them are colorless. Actually, like half of them are black. Maybe this is a problem. I'm not sure. I guess I would definitely bring in the artifact destruction spells against this deck, but I'm not sure how good they would actually be. They're probably better than like random Craven Inspectors, random creatures that don't matter that much. Okay, so we do have cyclers left that cycle for colorless mana. That's good. It's possible that we were aggressively cycling the black cyclers in case this happened. Like these 2 architects were the first thing cycled, so I guess that makes a decent amount of sense to do that in that order to play around the land destruction. So we're going to clean up. That doesn't bode well. It's possible that Belena's hand is just a bunch of rituals or reapings that can't be cast. Rafine's Informant is actually very good because it increases the clock by a large amount. Gets in for 3. Down to 12. It's interesting that we Faithful Saluting to away the Boros Garrison and then missed our land drop. I'm not sure that's the decision I would have made since the extra mana can go to use cracking these clues. So this Lotus Petal is huge, I think. Maybe not huge, but now you can cast rituals off of it and start cycling and going off. It's possible that Belena just had it and was waiting, but possible that it was a draw for turn when it was a really good draw for turn. If it was. Okay, so we make 3 mana off Dark Ritual. Cycle the Horror. So yeah, we have these black cyclers that my guess is we're all stuck in the hands. So now we have a Bar Ritual with Thresholds, makes 5 mana. Yeah, honestly, I don't know that I would have kept the 7 if I'm the opponent. I feel like it's pretty easy to mulligan a couple times to try to hit a relic, but... Okay, so now we have lots of mana. And there's also a Mystical Teachings in the graveyard, in case we're missing a piece. Okay, Songs of the Damned. So I'm assuming the last card is Reaping. We're going to cast Reaping in response to the Songs of the Damned, try to maximize the amount of mana we can get. And yeah, it looks like the Cycle Storm player is going to be able to win this game. For some reason, my chat and game log have disappeared off of my screen, but well. Oh, this is 1-1. I should change that to be. Okay, so now we have 7 cards in hand. I assume we're going to try to cycle as much as possible. Try to get the most mana out of the songs. I feel like this has got to be a deterministic win with the teachings in the graveyard, because if you're ever missing something, you can just tutor for it. So, you know, I think we're just going through the motions now. But I guess we'll see. So we're tutoring for something. I guess another Reaping? No, songs, okay. So now this should just make a completely ridiculous amount of mana. Interesting that we tutored and then cast Deadly Dispute. I probably would have Deadly Dispute and then cast the tutor. Just because, like, if this is a card that I was interested in, I'd rather have it in the deck than not in the deck. But Mana Tithe? What? Oh, they wanted to hold up Mana Tithe. That's why they discarded the Boros Garrison. But I don't think Mana Tithe is going to be particularly effective here. Okay, we're returning songs. Now we have a bajillion mana. Yeah, okay, now we have a Reaping, which is GG. I'll watch the rest of this match just to say that we've watched the whole thing to its entirety or to its conclusion, but this game's over. It does make sense though. Like I sort of understand the logic of why they didn't, like why they made the plays that they did. Like they kept their 7 because they had revoke resistance, and they held up the planes because they wanted to hold up Mana Tithe. But all right, Kelly has lost the die roll. This is gonna be Familiars versus Burn. Obviously, the cards we want to see on the Familiar side are Faithfuls, and that's pretty much it. Honestly, just Faithfuls, and hopefully not clunky combo cards. Callie mulligans to 5, and Apa keeps a 6-card hand. I guess we're deciding what to put on the bottom. Starting with the tap lands. And islands. We have a preordain? No preordain. So, and there's no Ash Barrens. I was like, oh, he'll probably just cycle Ash Barrens on the end step, but that's not a thing. Oof. So we cast a synthesizer, flip to Searing Blaze. We're on a 1-lander. So let's see if Callie can make land drops. Turn 2 Chancery. Yep, this is the best possible turn 2. Pretty much. It's looking good for the Familiars player. Casting an Epicure and passing. No second land drop for the Burn player. There's a Faithful. We have a cantrip. I guess we're going to fetch and then cast Preordain. Or just pass. Just pass. So I assume we're not going to block. Yeah, no way. Definitely don't want to let this Faithful get bolted. Alright, we made our land drop. Playing a pinger. So this is definitely good for the Burn player. They get to develop their mana. So we're evoking a Muldrifter, and there is another land in hand, I think, as an island. Okay, so we have a Revolving Wilds. I'm going to fetch another white source. No, it's more blue. This is the part where it's actually kind of scary, because now the Burn player has 5 cards, and they're at least 4 of them are spells, and you have a pinger in play, and the Faithful can't block, so... Alright, we draw 2. Hit a Mountain and a Reckless Impulse. I assume we can't really block here. Yep. Second main, Epicure. Callie's kind of under the gun here. He's got to get some blockers. This helps. Decent amount. Another Revolving Wilds. Trying all the... I guess Callie's playing like a ridiculous number of these fetch lands, so... So now you could have like double negate or just 1 negate. Snap as well as a card. I thought you'd probably main face the snap if you had it. Impulse. Impulse resolves, hits Lightning Bolt and Searing Blaze. So if we have a land, we probably want to go for the Searing Blaze. So we do have a land, so we're going to cast Searing Blaze. My guess is on this Familiar. And if Callie doesn't have a Flicker, or... he probably is holding a Flicker is my guess. Or Negate. Because I feel like the Negate probably would have hit the Impulse if we had it. Interesting. Chose not to counter the draw 2. So now surely we can block now. Yep. Yep, red is very good. A notable thing about red in this format is that there's no Weather the Storm, so the common, like the best card against red for a lot of strategies is Weather the Storm, and not having that card is pretty big. So Pirates into Muldrifter, this is definitely good for Callie. So let's see if the Faithful gets double burned or not. Because I imagine if there's another burn spell, we're going to double burn the Faithful, and then try to win through burning Callie out with the pinger. Another pinger, okay. Bolts the Fam. Okay. So that probably means there's not another burn spell? Would be my guess. Oh, we're attacking. Okay. So I guess we're just blocking with the creatures with power, and then trying to... I'm not sure what this attack means exactly. Interesting. So Appa chose to kill the Fam and the Pirates to try to prevent the combo, rather than using 2 burn spells on the Faithful to try to prevent the life gain. And it didn't really matter what he chose, because the Mortuary Mire is going to be able to put back whatever Callie wants to do. Targeting the Mole Drifter. Is there a cantrip? Yeah, there's a cantrip, so now you can slam the Mole Drifter. One top, one bottom. I assume we're casting a Mole Drifter now. Yep. With 5 cards in hand, it's gotta be... You definitely want to try to kill this turn if you can. Hits Mountain Chain Lightning. So 3 burn spells would be lethal. But I don't know if it's even possible for him to have 3 burn spells at this point. Alright, another draw 2. So I assume we're just going to the dome now. Yep. The good old burn for 5. No Fire Blast as the last card. Ooh, Second Faithful is really good. Now I think if Callie finds any sort of counterspell, the game just kind of ends. Both on top. Alright, well, yeah, this game's over then. I think. Compulsive Research. Okay. Discards Evolving Wilds. Blue. We have a snap. We do have a snap. And snapping with the Faithfuls out feels so good. We're going to cast Arcanemancer now? No, Deep Analysis. Okay. And this is sort of why I might have tried to burn out the Faithful instead of preventing the combo, because now you spent 2 burn spells on 2 different creatures that may or may not have been good, but the Faithful's just gained an absurd amount of life over the few turns since it's been cast. So we flipped a Mountain off the Synthesizer. Cast the Force Chanter from Exile. We do have 2 more redraws. I guess they already played a land for turn. Alright, see, are we going to flashback Deep Analysis? Yes, we are. With 5 cards in hand, it seems pretty tough to lose this. Yeah. Yeah, this one's over. I mean, Callie, I mean, this isn't a good play, but you could even go, yeah, return snap, snap the Mancer, replay the Mancer, snap the Mancer, replay the Mancer. Or we're snapping the Pinger. And that would be assuming Callie has no other cards, and he has 6 cards in hand, so. It's Drifter Beatdown time. Alright, I think it's time to pack it in. Oh, we have a Bolt. Okay. Is there a negate? There is a negate. Turn the Flicker, draw 2 cards. Another snap? Nope, just Modern Age. Oh, the value. Discard Deep Analysis, flashback Deep Analysis. You'd love to see it. Replays the Pingers, but this one's over. This one is over. Alright, mark that down as a win. For Callie. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. I'm glad that the 1Password does not show my password. Let's see. Here. Alright, so let's look at the sideboard. I assume there's a bunch of Hydroblasts and probably like another couple counter spells, maybe. Let's see. So yeah, we get to bring in Strands, Negate, Counterspell, 4 Hydroblast for Kali. And then for Appa, let's see. We have Flaring Pain maybe for the Strands. Relic, honestly, I personally would not bring this in, but I would not be surprised if he brought it in, to be honest. Molten Rain I would bring in for sure. The Rage Hound is not good. I mean, it might be okay. It's like a grindy matchup, but you just kind of get brick walled by the blockers. Although I guess with 4 power, maybe I could see this being brought in. The issue with bringing this sort of card in is that it's not like the most aggressive card, and so you just end up giving the Familiars player more time than you'd like. And then Pyroblast, I mean, you could bring it in. You probably should bring it in, but I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of this card in the mono red deck, just because Familiars has a lot of white spells, and like holding up mana over and over again is not where you want to be sometimes. Okay, we're already into game 2. Let's see what we got going on. So Burn player's on the play. They cast Impulse on turn 2. Flips a Synth and a Chain Lightning. We might be holding up a Hydro from Kali's side. Are we going to Hydro this or no? I probably would if I had it, but I guess we're not going to Hydro. Because you know there's no Synth on the opponent's side. So, like, Synth is the best, or sorry, no, there's no Coldotha Rebirth. Coldotha Rebirth is the best target for the Hydroblast. So no third land drop from Appa. So there's 6 spells in hand for the Burn player. Got a Faithful and a Bounce Land. If you only had one Hydroblast, it is nice that you can defend the Faithful with the Hydroblast now. Surely you Hydroblast this if you have it. Surely, yeah. Yeah, this one is looking good for the Familiars player. I think the way that the Burn player gets back into this is like land Molten Rain. I think that's what I would be looking for if I was the on the red side of the equation here. Alright, gets a draw 2. Gets the lands. Preordain. I assume this is an Arcane Master. Nope, Deep Analysis was kept in the deck. I usually keep in most of these. Oh, Pyroblast in the Deep Analysis. And this is what I'm sort of saying about Pyroblast. Like, yeah, it's good. You got to trade 1 mana for 4 mana, but you're sort of like playing the game that FAMS wants to play. Like when you bring in all these counterspells, FAMS is like, I'll play the grindy game any day of the week. Like that is the best possible scenario for Familiars. But Molten Rain, okay, this is the best play for Appa. This is like by far the best possible turn they can have. I guess making a lane drop would have been slightly better, but no Faithful, Flashback, Deep Analysis. And now the key thing is that Kelly's gonna miss his lane drop here, it looks like, so there is some hope. But Double Faithful is pretty dang good. I will say it is nice that you can like use Pyroblast to defend your Molten Rains. Like that's sort of a place where I like the Pyroblast, but I think for the most part you're when you add this card to your deck, you're committing to like an interactive game, which is the exact like type of game that Familiars is good at playing. Drew a land for turn. Ooh, another Molten Rain. That is good. I think he only has 2 of them. Let me look. Yep, there's only 2, so I drew both of them. It definitely makes sense that he kept his hand then that had a pretty low land count, but had the best card in the matchup, possibly 2 copies in the opening hand. So, all right, Pyroblast the Modern Age. You definitely want to fire these off as soon as you can. Okay, deploy some creatures. Assume we're going to fetch up planes on the end step here. Familiar, and then Snap, Pinger, make some mana, and gain some life. Evoke a Mole Drifter. See if we can hit a land drop here. We did hit a land drop. So now Callie can cast either of his 3 negates or 3 other Power Blasts in the deck, or sorry, Hydro Blasts in the deck on this turn. Negate does not hit that, so I would kind of assume that that's what Callie has in his hand. So I assume this is going to get negated. Yep. Ooh, Power Blast target negate. this is funny. But even like after this, like throughout this, like I feel like the FAMS player is feeling totally fine about this exchange. Because you're just exchanging resources when you have way more cards in hand than the opponent. Hmm. There's a Flaring Pain in Exile, which will disable future Prismatic Strands. So we cast Arcane Mancer, return to gate, play land, so now we can hold up negate if there's any sort of shenanigans. But I think at this point the game is over, because there's only 1 card in the hand for the red player. We've got 3 Faithfuls on board. Yep, cast Flaring Pain. Saw the idea behind, but didn't have enough time to pay more attention to it. It feels interesting. I don't know if it's... I feel like it probably is not the most balanced format, to be honest. But I think it's like a nice change of pace. I wouldn't say that it's necessarily more balanced than normal Pauper, to be honest. At least that's been my experience. Alright, so we're going to evoke a Drifter. This smells like a Ghostly Flicker. I mean, it doesn't matter, because there's no cards in hand for the opponent, but smells like a Ghostly Flicker to me. Yeah. The thing about this format is that the removal is a lot worse, which means that the like the Tolarian Terror decks are just kind of incredible. Like, I don't know. I think Mono Red is also good because you don't have I mean you don't lose that much. Like Swiftspear is the best card in the deck, but the deck is still very good without it, and you lose Flaring or you lose Weather the Storm. So like the main decks that beat red would be Familiars and Tolarian Terror. Because those are the decks that have good life gain without access to Weather the Storm. Whereas a normal Pauper you can do slightly more things because you can use Weather the Storm as an answer to the mono red decks. All right, Callie takes it down. All right, so let's see where how the other match is going. Oh God, what did I walk into? What's going on here? We have double Nihil Spellbomb versus Adranus Stinger in the red zone. Uh, this is actually like the most annoying thing. I said this earlier in the other match that we watched, but the post board against Cycle Storm, you often trim on your removal, and so they just start playing stuff out, and it's just like, come on, that's annoying. Okay, so now the question is, are we going to see cycle? I assume we're going to see a cycle here in response, like after this resolves in response to the Songs of the Damned. It's like opening a portal to a nightmare embodiment. I guess, yeah. All right, so we cycle the horror. We get a mana back. I don't know if we're using that mana for anything useful, but all right, 1 mana, 1/1 beatdown time. Let's go. Hopeless Nightmare. I mean, if Belina can get some more mana going, he can cast like some bigger creatures. Like there are some nice creatures to cast in this deck, but they usually cost like 5 mana, I think. Like this guy. Yeah. Oh, no, maybe that's not the plan. I'm not sure. Alright, so 2 cards in hand for the black burn player. 3 cards in hand for Belena. Attacks for 3. Passes the turn. Interesting. Wonder what that means. Because the worst 2 cards in hand were cyclers, which means that the other two, at least 2 of the 3 cards have to be better than the 2 cyclers. I feel like this game is going to be won by some creature beatdown, but I suppose we'll see. Just passing again. I mean, the Blackburn player has to either win the game or answer these creatures. There's another discard spell. Okay, down to 5. Discarding Songs of the Damned. That card is not very useful here, that's for sure. Vampire's Kiss down to 3. No cards in hand, though, but two blood tokens to loot away with. So now we're going to cycle Horror, ding you for 1. Untap. Black, black. Are we casting a creature? What's going on? Lotus Battle? Okay. Dispute, maybe? Cabal Ritual. With Threshold, this has Threshold, so we can respond by cracking a Spellbomb to turn off Threshold if we want. Looks like that is going to be the choice. Casting a Scob. I assume we're not going to exploit, because getting back the Cabal Ritual doesn't really do anything. And I assume we're not going to scry 2 with the Hopeless Nightmare, because you can loot away whatever you draw with the blood if it's not a burn spell. And you can also draw with the Spellbomb to try to hit another burn spell. Okay, so that's 2 damage and gain 2. The life gain is actually surprisingly relevant here. Just have a ragtag team of random sorted creatures versus any burn spell off the top is lethal, and you have 4 redraws. So although you can cycle for damage, but I don't know how useful that is. Just okay. Attack for 5. Down to 6. Pass the turn. Ooh, cracks the Spellbomb for a redraw. I like this play a lot, actually. Because the graveyard doesn't matter at all. This is definitely the correct move. And that is GG. I don't know if this is a... This is obviously a sideboarded game, but I don't know who won game 1. Given that we're calling GG, I assume it's going to be mono black. Indeed, it is. Yeah, thanks for playing. I'll do the prizes after the last round. You can message me on Magic Online afterwards. All right, so we see mono black versus familiars in the finals. I think Callie lost to this deck in the Swiss, but I definitely think I would take the familiar side if I had to pick one side. All right, so it looks like Cortez won the die roll, starting off with a Swamp Pass. Both players kept nope. Callie is on 6 cards. Cortez kept 7. I also placed my bets on FAMs, but anything can happen because it looks like Callie lost to this deck in the Swiss. So we'll see what happens. Oh, stop. Oh, I need to mute my Discord. I'm getting spammed. All right. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. All right, so we have Hopeless Nightmare. Discard the Pirates. Makes sense. This card seems terrible here. Playing a bounce land. Cali also has a bounce land. Prickly Bogart. And a Vampire's Kiss. Yeah, this card seems solid in this archetype. I honestly thought this card would see more play than it does, but it's a really bad top deck in unless you're playing burn specifically. All right, so this would be the spot where you would go snap your creature, evoke Ephemerate and Molddrifter, but you know Ephemerate is not currently a legal card in this format, so yeah. Okay, so we have replay the Boggart into Soul Read the Archaeomancer. It's not bad. This is actually a really good start for the mono black player. I mean, you're still looking for a faithful, and I haven't seen one yet. So there's the faithful. Okay, it's possible Kali tried to bait out the removal spells with the Archaeomancer. Because now if you can go faithful snap and then like have a counter up, this is really good. So doesn't look like there's a counter up. Does Kali miss his land drop? That's the question. All right, made a land drop. Another faithful. All right, this now it's looking really good. Now it's looking really good. Yeah, he casts 3 spells and Fams is low, and then Fams casts the Faithfuls, and then everything is reversed in an instant. So, all right, Geth's Verdict. That's a good start. He definitely needs another removal spell for the second Faithful, though. We're going to use the red mana to activate the Blood, discard a land. See if we're going to do it again. We are going to do it again. Discard a Prickly Bogart. That card seems pretty medium here. I mean, this is effectively unblockable, but still a 1/1. All right, we have Deep Analysis, Modern Age, still gaining life. There's a 1/1 unblockable still in play, so I don't know. I still think Cortez really needs a removal spell for this Faithful. It's gonna be really tough. Okay, so this vampire is actually kind of incredible here because it's 3/2 unblockable for 1 mana, which is just like kind of ridiculous. So Kelly's at 4 with 4 unblockable in play. Cortez has no cards in hand and nothing in the graveyard for value. He can upkeep Scry though, which is very good. So if I'm Callie, I'm probably thinking I need to gain at least 1 life this turn, and then also have a counterspell up. Alright, if Faithful gains 3, the problem is that you're taking 4, so you're effectively at 3. And these lands not being Capenna fetch lands really is annoying. Because now, if this was a Capenna fetch land, you'd be at 8, and any top deck 3-mana burn spell wouldn't kill you. As it stands, you can scry 2 and have 3 looks at a burn spell. Any 3 damage burn spell is lethal here. Bottoms both. Alright, so not necessarily over. Okay, it's not over. And I'd say Callie's actually probably favored now. He's gonna fall to two, but then he's gonna be able to, you know, gain three life every spell he casts. Still 4 damage unblockable. Like this shit is really good. If Callie can get up to 10 life, then this will only be 1 damage, which is yeah. So Callie's playing the Evolving Wilds because he's playing a basic mountain in the sideboard for Gorilla Shaman to try to hit on affinity. Okay, 3 mana. So I assume there's going to be a snap played here. Compulsive Research, okay. And then maybe hold up negate. He's deciding. He's taking a long time to decide. No, we discard a planes. Okay. Preordain up to 11. So now this only hits one for 1 damage, and I think now Callie wins. You found all four for God's sake. Yeah. Oh man, rough. It's rough. This is the fan's lifestyle, though. You just every single card in your deck just draws you cards, and you just draw until you find what you need. All right, we're gonna gain to scry two again with no cards in hand. Bottom both. I honestly think that if Cortez Vampiric tutored every single turn, and Callie drew like 4 lands in a row, that Callie would still win. But I guess the Reckoner raid actually puts Callie down to exactly 10. So the Vampire gets to get in. So it's not over yet. No Black Spell means that Soul Reap is only a Doom Blade, not a Searing Blaze. We're going to evoke a Muldrifter. I assume there's a Ghostly Flicker here. I mean, Callie's playing three Flickers, which is honestly very greedy, but so we're going to Flicker the island and then Muldrifter, draw two. Let's see if afterwards there's a snap, or if there's just a negate. Callie really wants to gain at least one more life this turn, so that the Vampire doesn't have 3 power. Although if Cortez has a burn spell, then, you know, it takes Callie below 10. Strands is actually pretty decent here. I'll be interested to see how exactly Callie sideboarded, because the Strands are decent against the creature aggro plane, but they're not actually very effective against the burn spells. I guess it's probably better than some of your more clunky 5 drops. Like I definitely would board out some number of the pirates. I mean, with 5 cards in hand and the loot, I think this game is pretty much over. Flashback Strands. Come on, make him turn his dude sideways. I guess it doesn't really matter, but all right. Game one goes to Familiars. Sorry, this is yeah, that's game one. Oh, this is for some reason I thought this was a sideboarded game. Yeah, let's look at the sideboards of each of the players, because I think that the mono black burn deck is going to actually improve quite a lot after sideboard here. We look at the we look at the sideboard. You have 4 Nihil Spellbomb, which may or may not come in. I'm not sure either way about that one. That one's maybe either way. The Crypt Rats are completely insane. I would bring in these and I wouldn't think twice about it. Um, the Edicts, yeah, I don't know. The Trespasser's Curse, I don't know. It's probably better than some of your other cards, but I'm not convinced it's that great. I mean, I don't know. It's probably better than the Edicts, maybe. These are actually decent because you can just kill the Faithful on an empty board. Not exactly sure how you would sideboard here exactly. And you don't want to raise your curve by that much too, so stuff. And then for Callie, we have Counterspell, Negate. These probably come in. Disenchant probably does not come in. Maybe bring in the Strands, although it's not that great against the burn spells. And then everything else seems kind of worthless. All right, turn one Reckoner Raid. Looks like both players kept 7 this game. Island Go is the play from Callie. Drain for 1. Okay, gonna fetch before casting Preordain. That's how you know that you have a player with a brain. You often see random people in Pauper leagues go Preordain, and then they like play their fetch land, and they Preordain, and they fetch after, and it's like, what are you doing? But Callie's an expert. He knows what he's doing. We flip over the Reckoner Raid. Drain for 3. This is the downside of boarding in more expensive cards, is that your hand sometimes ends up being a bit more clunky than you'd like. Let's see what Callie goes for, because if you have a Faithful, you might not even want to play it out here, because you kind of run yourself into an Edict. This is part of the reason why I like the Seagate Oracle so much in Familiars, because like on this turn, this would be a perfect Seagate Oracle turn, and then next turn you could play a Faithful out and protect it from an Edict, right? But see, so maybe we'll just pass and hold up a Negate. Maybe we'll evoke a Drifter. So like Fam plus Negate is probably the best play here. Yeah. And you can negate a kill spell or negate the Reckoner Raid. The awkward thing is if he goes Reckoner Raid and then has the Soul Reap, ooh, I don't know how I feel about that. So it looks like Callie didn't have a negate, but you can play the Reckoner Raid first and then Soul Reap after to get 3 damage, right? I mean, you're not playing around Spell Pierce or anything, so I'm not sure I understand the sequencing there. Maybe I missed something. Alright, so now you can go Snap Drifter if you have a Snap and a Drifter, but you could also just go Archaeomancer. Hmm. And these unblockable creatures are quite strong. We're gonna pick up a Snap. Hmm. Okay, drain for 1. Drain for 3. Hit for 3 more. Attack for 1. Okay, we have Familiar. Snap. You're gonna need to have a very, very big turn here. I guess we're just gonna cast a Drifter. Play a land, okay. Yeah, I mean, you're still alive, but only technically. Now you have at least have 2 blockers for the Reckoner Raid, which has Menace. You still can't block the Boggart, though. Sort of a tough spot. You had another in his. If it counter first, you kill for sure. I see. I see, I see. That makes sense. Alright, we're playing a land. Is this Crypt Rats, I guess? Yes. I mean, Crypt Rats plus this is not exactly a combination, but it's still a solid card in this spot. Because you kill your own thing when you crack it, but so we're just gonna main phase crack to play around Snap? No, we're just gonna Slide and Blood. I mean, you're not gonna crack for 2, so it makes sense to me. Now Kelly untaps with the Famine play. So if he can go like Faithful, snap the Crypt Rats, do something else, would be good. That is the downside to leaving the Crypt Rats out like that, is that you can get snapped, but okay, Deep Analysis, drop 2. I wonder if it would have been better to do that first. Not sure. Because yeah, if you go DA target me, then you can play Faithful and then snap and gain a life. You just burned 1 life away. Oh no, I guess it doesn't matter. It's actually fine to sequence either way because you want to use the white mana for the deep analysis. Like you want to spend white white blue on this, so I think it doesn't matter either way. Because if you deep analysis yourself with white white blue, you'd have to use the snap to generate white mana to cast the Faithful anyways. Okay. We're attacking with a Muldrifter. This is not something I agree with. Because let's say Cortez goes untap, kill the Faithful, then you can't block. So I'm not sure I agree with that very much. Or even like, because Cortez has Crypt Rats now, and like if Cortez goes Crypt Rats, crack. I guess if he cracks it, this dies anyways. But if you attack, then you get to assign 2 damage to the Faithful. Then you can crack for 2 and wipe everything, or crack for 3 and wipe everything. I definitely would not have attacked with the Drifter. I see we're going to order this the other way. So now if Callie has a third snap, we might see a snap in response to the Crypt Rats. No snap. Okay. Callie's down to 4, so needs to find another Faithful as soon as possible. Evokes a Drifter. I guess there's a Flicker. I mean, this is the downside to playing 3 Flickers in your deck, is that you, like, that's just so mana intensive when you don't have Fams in play. Oh, we're just sacrificing it? Okay. I guess that means we drew into the Faithful off the Muldrifter, and so we can save the Flicker for later to target the Mortuary Mire, and we can hold the counter here. Because I think when you evoke Drifter in that spot, that likely means you have a Flicker in your hand. Okay. Don't imagine we're countering that. Okay, are we countering this? I mean, you kind of want to, if you have a counter, you kind of want to use it because you get to spend your mana, but like, it's also not the most impactful card ever. I'm sure you have some useless stuff to discard. So if there's a counter spell that's getting countered, if there's, yeah. See, this is why I like holding, like casting negate if you have it on this, because now you're dead to, if you don't find a snap. I mean, you can also like gain 1,000,000 life, but you have to gain pretty ridiculous amount of life. Cortez has a land in hand, so you'd have to gain like 4 life at least. Okay, so we can return the snap, and then if Cortez cracks the rats in response to the snap, that's good for you because you get to wipe out both the creatures. There's no response. I think Cortez was F6'd. So now Cortez still wins on board. It looks like. You can go attack for 1. Okay, never mind. If Callie didn't have the Modern Age, go attack for 1, put Callie to 4, play the Crypt Rats, and then play the land and crack for 4. But every turn that Kelly doesn't die, it just gets better for him, so. I feel like there's got to be a negate in Kelly's hand, given that, like, there was a tank on the Hopeless Nightmare, and then the Crypt Rat's resolved. That's my read. So we're taking on the discard, which probably means that you have 4 good cards in hand, would be my guess. and one of them is negate. Discards a drifter. Okay. And what is the last card? It's gotta be Ghostly Flicker, right? The hand is Ghostly Flicker negate now? Alright, Cortez draws. We know the hand is Crypt Rats and a land, right? So we're gonna take one. Let's see how Cortez sequences this, because I think there's a couple different ways you could go about this. So I guess we're gonna cast Crypt Rats off the double red, yeah. And he's forced to crack it now if we, yeah. So it was Ghostly Flicker. So we're gonna Ghostly Flicker here to gain 1 life. What are we returning? You can return Snap to gain another life. You can return Flicker to try to put a creature on top of your deck on your upkeep. Returns a Snap. So now if the Rats gets cracked main phase, you can respond with Snap. Interesting. We're snapping the Mancer. Okay. So I'm pretty sure Kelly's other card is a negate. So the question is, do we Rats now? Because Cortez has a Swamp and a Mystery card. So we're gonna Rats for 4. I think he has a Swamp. Maybe I miscounted. Oh, we're just doing it for 3? That feels like a misclick. That feels like a misclick to me. Oh, his last card was this guy. We already knew about this card. Is there a Swamp? I feel like there's a Swamp in hand, and now he's holding it. Alright, so we loot. We have a draw step and a loot. Discard Strands. It's essentially a gain 1 life card. I don't think... I think Callie's actually still winning this game, even if the Rats gets cracked for 4. Actually, maybe not. Yeah, it definitely would have been closer. Because now I'm assuming Callie has Flicker, Negate, Mystery card, and we're gonna cast this. We're gonna flashback the Strands in combat to gain 1 life. I would assume. I'm gonna scry 2 on the upkeep. Bottom both. I think we know about a Swamp in hand, but I could be wrong. I assume that's being held for blood tokens. But I also could have missed it. It might have been this is the Swamp that was in hand. Not entirely sure. So now Callie could have flickered on the upkeep to try to put the Faithful on top of the deck. Instead, going for a Mancer, which I assume is going to pick up a Snap. We're going to make mana. Because Snap is +1. So now we have... I still think we have a Flicker and a Negate in hand. So we're not flashing back Deep Analysis. So... I think this game's over. Alright, Callie wins. GG's.